So you're telling me the old co-host knows better than the new one? Let's discuss.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I am your host, Robyn Leonio. That's Matthew Jacobson right beside me on this wonderful Friday. Hope you guys are enjoying getting ready for the weekend. We are getting ready to talk some Arizona Coyotes hockey in the movement way, in their arena way. Maybe. Because look at this, Matthew. We're going to discuss whether or not Phoenix is actually on the table. Because I'm looking at the tweet from last night that BucciOT posted. I just kind of want to figure that out a little bit. Just kind of like made me think a little bit because it is a gif of a phoenix.
I thought it was technically a mockingjay. Yeah, no, I'm taking a nap, right? Just trying to chill, and then we hop on to record, and Robyn's like, "Hey, do you see this?" I'm like, "No, I didn't." And it's a phoenix in the flames or whatever. And it's from the Hunger Games. I think it's supposed to be a blue jay, or mockingjay. Sorry, but it's a phoenix. We're gonna talk about it. It's a phoenix, and this individual, Mr. BucciOT, actually has had, from what I could tell, decent information more recently. I do believe he was one of the people that were behind revealing the whole Atlanta arena project and how they want to push for another hockey team. And that got revealed like a week after he was tweeting about it, or he was the source, and a week after people were citing him for it. So at the very least recently, while I'm not going to pretend I'm too familiar with him, there does seem to be a little bit of credibility to his work. And then you're looking at Arizona Coyotes with a couple of I'm going to call them passive aggressive emojis because I don't understand what this and this means. But Phoenix, only thing we can talk about is Phoenix, and Carl, while he's no longer with us, he's here in spirit. Apparently, is a better co-host than I am because he mentioned this on that live stream when we got the no vote, and I was like, I don't know, man. And it literally led me down a rabbit hole like a couple days after that, where I wanted to see really how viable Phoenix was as an option. And it's more viable than people think. And as someone who had bought into the propaganda that Phoenix hated the Coyotes and never wanted them and threw them out or whatever, none of that is true. And at least as far back as 2016, with a former mayor's quote, Phoenix has wanted the team back. And I'm just saying, please, Mat Ishbia, save us.
Yeah, it really makes me think, there's a lot of different ways this can go down. But, we talked earlier this week about, the Arizona Boardwalk site. And look, as great as it was and as much as we love to talk about it, hey, that's the chance of that happening, to be honest, is pretty low. I love to think there's no coincidences, but tribal land, way too many obstacles, right?
Would also probably require a sale, just for some context to add on to Robyn's point. And if you're going to have a potential sale, why not look downtown?
Exactly. Why not look downtown? Because there is a new owner for the Phoenix Suns, since earlier this year, with Mat Ishbia taking over that team. He's got the money, and if there is any sense of keeping the Coyotes in the Valley, you really got to think that downtown Phoenix is your best option. And we've said this multiple times, right? It just seems like overall the best option, but the only thing that was holding that back is just with the idea that that Mat Ishbia has to be interested. It has to go down that way. If he's not interested, you can throw any idea of downtown Phoenix at the door, and then potentially just put all your chips into Mesa, because then
I do want to disagree slightly with the notion that it would require Ishbia or else everything else is off the table. There would be one other pathway, but it would not be likely. It would not be something that would be easily done, and it would very likely end up having a lot of redundancies. So I do really briefly just want to get into this. If Ishbia wasn't interested, there is some land that could be sold down there in downtown Phoenix, right in that Legends, sports district. Theoretically speaking, looking at these quotes by the former mayor and the current mayor, TLDR, the former mayor, I do believe his name, Greg Stanton, literally said, I'll do everything in my power to get the Coyotes back. And that was as far back as, I think, 2016, 2017. And the current mayor literally immediately following the no vote said, we're open to conversations. If should they want to look at Phoenix as an option. You could have a third venue in downtown Phoenix. Theoretically speaking, look, this is why I'm saying it's a super long shot. All right, because the perception was that if you build the TED from the no campaign, it's going to galvanize the Footprint Center and Desert Diamond Arena. And while I work at Desert Diamond Arena and I'm getting a lot of hours right now, I don't care about them. If they go under, they go under. But with Footprint Center, you're going to lose some shows, but they're still going to get as many shows as they want because prime downtown, a lot of bands have good relationships down there. I was hearing something about an exclusivity contract, but I have no idea. I'm not looking into that. I'm not a live entertainment. I'm a sports guy. But all right, that would kind of be exacerbated by having the building directly next to it. However, the times when my dad used to work at the Glendale Arena, it was literally this is all anecdotal, but it'd essentially be like they'd get a lot of shows when downtown was overbooked. Having a second building theoretically solves that problem because the nights that would be booked by Footprint Center, you could have an event also across the street at Coyotes Arena. It would be a long shot. I don't know if it's realistic. There's a lot of logistical issues. It would cause galvanization cannibalization of the market a little bit, but you theoretically could do it.
Yeah, you theoretically could. I mean, you can look at, potentially other big metro areas that have multiple venues that are in the same city, but not within, right across from each other like that. Right?
There are a couple that are little, but it's the basketball / hockey arena, baseball, and then football. And I think the closest one is Detroit. Is that the one I'm thinking of where you have Little Caesars? And then the baseball park, it's right across the street, kind of similar to the downtown Phoenix setup. And the Ford Field is a couple miles up the road.
Yeah, what I'm getting at are arenas, multi-purpose, arenas, hockey or basketball arenas that are that close to each other. I mean, the only other way you can think of is the quote tri-state area, because because the New York area / New Jersey area is just so freaking massive that it can house those. You have Prudential in Jersey, got MSG in Manhattan, and what's it called? The Islanders' new place. I'm blanking on it.
Oh my god, what is it? Everyone keeps saying Barclays Center more recently. I was talking about the Suns thing, so it's not that. I know it's not that.
And they left Nassau too. So
Islanders Arena, sure, and then people can get
UBS Arena
in the comment.
UBS Arena in Belmont Park, which is Brooklyn? Is it Brooklyn area?
But even then, that wouldn't be as close as this, and
that's what I'm getting at.
There'd be too many logistical problems. Again, the closest I can think of is my dad was there to open Little Caesars Arena. He was talking about the downtown setup. Most of the sports teams are kind of right there in this district, but I've still never seen the pictures. So I could be talking right out my caboose. All right, but we're not going to talk at our caboose right now. We got to get into an ad read real quick. We got to talk about game time. All right. Because, no bowl or whatever. Anyway, buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and the best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. All right, we're getting into the Rattlers playoff push right around now. I recently just went to a Rattlers game because a buddy of mine hooked me up with tickets. But if I ever needed to get my hands on some tickets for, let's say, the Rattlers or Mercury or whomever, I'm probably going to at least take a look at game time because I would like those best price guarantees. Forget planning months in advance. Game time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The game time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find the tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, low price guaranteed.
All right, so let's continue this because we kind of mentioned the difficulty of the idea if the Coyotes were to try to build a second arena, a second venue in downtown Phoenix, and it's interesting because what were some of the proposed sites? I think the old convention center spot.
Yeah, that's directly across the street, and it's a decent plot. But would it fit properly? Let's just pretend that
it would fit in an arena, and then maybe it would definitely fit in an arena.
But you gotta have a parking garage too, because parking is already a nightmare. And if you're planning on using it as a double booking solution,
yeah, you got to figure it out somehow. I mean, I do feel like you have a lot more leeway in downtown doing that than in, than elsewhere. Elsewhere, you need a district, right? Downtown, you're already in a district. You kind of take care of it.
So, I mean, look, theoretically, all right, let's just, I want to preface this. I'm going to run with the idea, just for this hypothetical, that the financials work. The city of Phoenix sees the value in having a second arena so you can double book events or whatever. We're just going to go with this mindset, and we're going to go with the financials just work. And that's what we're going to run around with this framework. Theoretically, while it would still cost a decent amount to get the land, to demolish the current site and build a new arena, if you don't need to add on a district, it should be relatively cheap to build that arena. Probably a parking garage and maybe your physical Sahara Bet Sportsbook right there within the building. Kind of like how they have, I think it's FanDuel at Footprint Center. You could theoretically
also
do it.
DraftKings at Chase Field.
You're right. And DraftKings at Chase Field. There's a lot of sportsbooks.
Caesars is at I forgot. I keep forgetting which one is at which arena.
Oh, the MGM, yeah, the out there in Glendale. Man, Glendale looks so different now than I was growing up. But anyway,
sports betting has really changed the sports game in Arizona. Holy crap!
But let's just say that all works and that's fine. That's great. I mean, could you knock it down to under $1 billion or around $1 billion with everything considered? And would that be financially worth it? Obviously the profits are not going to be as high. And again, this is under a lot of assumptions. And no, we do not think this is what's actually going to happen. I just wanted to bring this nice outlandish idea to you guys because why not? What could you theoretically?
Yes. I mean, it can work. If you put all of that other if you put aside the idea that there will be market competition right across the street, and that no matter that the money still will show on either that'll come in no matter what. If the money is there, the money is there. You could just build the damn thing.
I don't know, because That's the only thing that makes sense. That or finding a way to buy the old fairgrounds, demolish the madhouse, and build there. And even then, that's not the greatest area, so it wouldn't be able to support your high-end shopping and the other stuff that he wants to do with the district. And look, maybe that could be what helps turn that area a little up, but I don't see it. So, like, looking at Phoenix, that outlandish idea I just presented to you is the only idea that I could see even remotely possible
outside of Ishbia not being in. Yes.
Outside of Ishbia buying them. Because if Craig Morgan's reports are 100% accurate, and so far he's never lied to me personally, I'm just going to go ahead and take it at face value. The NHL will not be a tenant in an NBA building unless, obviously, the NBA owner also owns the team because of financials and whatnot. Ishbia to the rescue? Look, we already had a sighting of a Mercedes van outside of the NHL headquarters in New York, which I did run the plate, and it brought up that vehicle. I wasn't going to pay the $3 to see who it's issued to. But if it's safe to assume that is Barroway meeting with the league and they're going to force him to sell his portion, is it really that much of a stretch with the amount of conversations that are happening behind the scenes for the NHL to be like, look, Alex, sell a majority stake to Ishbia and all of this goes away? Is that a stretch?
No, I don't think so. Especially if, like Morello can make some money off a sale anyways. Right? I think it's like, if the right deal is there, he looks at it and he's like, look, one, it keeps the team here in Arizona. 2, I make a little bit of money. Like, it's obviously short term. You can still make. He would technically make a lot more money if he did something on his own venture. But that's with the speculation that he's able to find something to build and get it up in time before the NHL runs out of patience.
Yeah, and let's just try to break it down for how it looks realistically to Morello. All right, and for whatever reason, people, whenever I get realistic, people assume I'm getting no. I still think the team stays here, but I want to present to you what is the likely mindset being presented to Alex Morello. Your prime real estate, you messed up. You screwed up the campaign. You ran a bad campaign. You did not invest what you needed to. You didn't hire the right people. If you thought you did, you were wrong, and you lost out on the TED, which would have been the best option. It is still currently the best option, though it's city-owned, and they will not re-enter negotiations. You blew that. Every other, from county islands to tribal land, would either likely require a sale or require heavy amounts of concessions when it comes to, cutting in other people on profits here or there, or maybe having to pay more for land than it's worth because this person owns this little patch and you got to get that patch you can have enough to build. So that's already a logistical nightmare. Fiesta Mall, I love the idea. You also would be able to have likely a decent little entertainment district, at least the hotels, some shopping that wouldn't be able to support high end, but if you did it right, there's still money to be made.
You probably could get middle tier, middle tier shopping at the most.
And office space, which also is profitable to have people renting out office space.
100%.
So you could do it. It would have to be a scaled back, and even though the land itself is technically a bigger site than the TED, it's a different landscape, and then you also open up some of those traffic concerns. And while it is more centrally located to the East Valley where the people with the most money are, you still might potentially run into some problems. And then people are like, well, if you're still bad, they still might not, hey, the traffic's not going to be the greatest, and they might not just not show up in the numbers you want them to. It should still 110% be better than Glendale, but there are other concerns. It doesn't mean that it can't be addressed, can't be fixed.
Right.
It doesn't mean it can't be mitigated, but it's going to cost money to do that. It's always going to cost money to try to fix these issues. So you have essentially a bastardized version of what you wanted in Mesa, and that's nothing against the city. All right, I like the location. I would not mind if they built there, but just from the business perspective, comparing it to the TED, it's a bastardized version of the Tempe Entertainment District because you have to get the amount of concessions or the potential complications with a county island or the complications with the local tribes, assuming that they'd be willing to do certain revenue splits for this or that. You give up a lot of control, you give up the ability to have land ownership. So many different headaches. And as been reported by Craig Morgan, to paraphrase him, but it's almost an exact quote, Alex Morello doesn't really have the interest to own the team if it's not in Arizona. And that sports betting license gaming license is a really big reason. And he can still make money off of that without owning the team, but the team would kind of help prop it up a little bit because, he has that physical location in the arena. But if you have all of these headaches, all of these potential headaches that are like, is it worth this? Is it worth, is it even worth the amount of money you'd make? Just someone like Alex Morello. Because Ishbia's are at least a spokesperson for the Suns already confirmed Ishbia's interested in the conversation should the Coyotes be up for sale. We have no official update that they are. As far as we know, Gutierrez's last comments a week and a half ago, they are not currently for sale. Anything could be up in the air and have changed in the last week. No idea yet. But all these little headaches, having to make concessions here, complications here, does it just make more sense from his perspective as a businessman to simply sell the team to Mat Ishbia, get out from under the losses? Even if you just, if Bearway's, portion is forced to be sold to Ishbia, let's just say, I think it's like 5%, but I forget. So don't quote me on that. It's a minor portion. And
then Ishbia buys a bigger stake.
Yeah, and buys the controlling stake from Morello. Even if Morello still wants like 20 to 40% because there's still money to be made and he's still interested, he can still do that should he want to.
That keeps his ability to use his gaming license and have Sahara bets as a part of the team, and continue and can still make money off of it.
Theoretically, as long as it doesn't cause too much conflict with Ishbia, because he also has a gaming license, so there is still a couple of headaches there, but you still have money to be made with less financial risk by simply selling the majority, or just, hey, I tried. The spot that I really wanted, I didn't get, and then just selling for that reason. Like, would it not just make more sense to sell the team at this point rather than deal with all the potential headaches? Because while we like a lot of these locations and they are realistic, there are those downsides.
Yes. And again, I've on social media, if you follow me on social media at Robyn_Leano, you know that I am a huge fan of the Mesa Fiesta Mall location. Is it because I live about 2-minute drive away from it? Probably. Yes. But that's besides the point. I think the Fiesta District really deserves to see some revitalization, and I think a entertainment district of that kind of caliber would really, really do that. That said, if all this happens, if Ishbia buys a controlling interest, controlling share of the Arizona Coyotes, if maybe that aspect that we saw with the Coyotes van in New York City, whether or not that's Bearway, it's obvious we have reason to believe it is. He sells his 5% stake, or is forced to sell his 5% stake, and somehow something else happens. The Coyotes move into Phoenix. I have reason to believe, and maybe just maybe that tweet from BucciOT kind of maybe tipped my curiosity a lot more in the direction towards Phoenix. It was already there. It kind of tipped my curiosity a lot more. Like, is it like, okay, this really means something to me, Phoenix? Because it could be, obviously it could. To me, it could have meant, hey, they're at least staying in the Valley for sure, because the Valley, people consider the Valley still the Phoenix area. But I don't know.
What if this is a deep cut, and this isn't it? It's not going to be it. But what if it was? It's the revitalization of the TED. The TED is dead, and then like a phoenix from the ashes. Essentially, they're gonna go over their citizens' opinions, because again, we talked about it very briefly, and this is based off of comments from former Mayor Giuliano, where it's, hey, they're gonna need to figure out something to do with getting extra tax revenue, or else taxes are gonna go up on the residents. Could it be referring to that? Probably not. But, if you're talking about dead things rising from the ashes, the things that immediately Phoenix and hopefully Mat Ishbia, but like them building a second arena in downtown is like a 1% chance, and that's stretching it. It's a long shot. Trying to get the Madhouse location, tear it down and rebuild it, technically possible, but probably not going to happen. That's state-owned property. You'd have to get them to want to sell, which would mean kind of like the County Islands thing. You might end up having to pay more for money for this party having this portion or whatever. But it's like, hey, you want this? It'll cost you. Like GCU took over their little area over there in Phoenix because they just like aggressively bought the land. Like it can be done. Doesn't mean it's going to. That's probably like a 0.5% chance. Like this is all like slimmer and slimmer. If this is not a troll and it's onto something, and we're talking about Phoenix because it literally says Phoenix in the alt text, that's gotta mean the conversation with Mat Ishbia had to have happened. That's gotta mean, or at the very least, someone's hearing that it happened. Because what else is the realistic possibility in Phoenix alone? Like, where is a large enough parcel of land or an area that would be good for demolition that would be an area you actually want to build?
It's a question that needs to be asked. And it really just like there's a lot of things that's really making me think about it. Because why else? Because a lot of people were like, "Oh, bring back the people were mentioning, the Thrashers or whatever."
I saw that.
The Firebirds? Like, what is it? And I'm like, it's a phoenix, guys. And just like the namesake of the city, it could very well seem very likely the Coyotes could be rising from the ashes. And we'll see.
We will see. I'm just going to go ahead and call it. We're probably going to call it here, but stay tuned tomorrow for a bonus Friday episode as a little apology for missing Thursday for y'all. Tune in tomorrow. We would like to break down just from our little perspective what it looks like if the sale happens. Tomorrow we're gonna just pretend the sale is done and what is the steps moving forward in the Footprint Center. But that will be for tomorrow. Robyn, take it away.
Well, that's going to be it for today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have yet to already, we're available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube and on the SiriusXM radio app. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn_Leonio. Matthew Jacobson is at the AZ Sports Guy. And interact with us. Ask the question you might have. We're going to answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.